Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening and a massively warm welcome to the Red and Blue Review. Wherever you are watching us in the world, I've got my second device here making a noise. Never mind. Anyway, wherever you're watching us in the world, whether you're on YouTube watching us live or you're listening to this back as a podcast, you are more than welcome. This evening, I'm going to shortly be joined by a couple of the other guys. I'm sure you know who they are by now. And here's the first one. Very poorly, Mr. Noble. How are you, buddy?
I'm not so bad, Nick, but I've got a bit of a bad throat. I think it's partly to do with how much I was shouting from the away end at Craven Cottage yesterday. But very good evening, everyone. Welcome to the show.
Bit of man flu going on there. Fergus, Tid, great to see you yesterday, bud. How are you, mate?
Yeah, very well, thank you, Nick. A little bit like Ian, suffering a little bit from yesterday, but I think that's self-inflicted.
Yeah, you're a bit jaded. And Theresa, welcome back. Glad to see you've actually managed to pull yourself out of your corner on the boat yesterday.
Evening all, yeah. I'm all good. Kind of got over my hangover. I'm not suffering anymore.
Good stuff. Well, ladies and gentlemen out in Facebook land, this is our penultimate show of the season. We are all a little bit D-Mob happy. We are all looking forward to a bit of a break. The team got their flip-flops on. What you can't see in the picture, Theresa's got her grass skirt on, Ian's got his mankini on, and Fergus got his budgie smugglers on. So we are looking forward to our own break for the summer. But lots has happened this season, and we're going to be reviewing that over the next couple of weeks. Yesterday, we had the away trip at Fulham. Started off the day with the boat. Okay, Grant Saunders' boat. Delighted to say on the boat we had. Oh look, that was us yesterday morning, guys. Ian, why do you look so large against me?
Look, mate, that's just a really bad camera angle. I'm a big boy anyway, but I'm in the foreground, aren't I? That's why. This is what a dreadful way to start a show. This was glad all over, I think, but I blame Alice. There's Alice there.
There's Alice. Lovely to meet you yesterday, Alice.
Yeah.
Listen, go back to that photo guy again, Nigel, with the four of us. They say I think it was Bucks Fizz that said the camera never lies. I thought I was overweight and large, but Ian, you look enormous sitting there. Theresa, you look gorgeous as always. Anyway, so we had a lot of fun on the boat yesterday. Lots of singing and noise, and I was on the microphone. And somebody on the tube on the way home, they said some guy came up to me who wasn't on the boat. We were doing the raffle, and he said, "I heard that it was pink number 323 was the winning." He said, "I heard your voice from the footpath." I said, "You're joking." He said, "Yeah, I could actually hear you word for word on the microphone from the footpath." Anyway, we raised 2 seconds. We raised a fantastic over 770 quid for multiple sclerosis yesterday. So if you were on the boat yesterday, congratulations and thank you. Well done to each and every one of you. Ian.
Yeah, now one of the numbers that was drawn wasn't claimed, was it? And obviously they didn't hear the number being called. And I couldn't remember what the number that was, but we're in the pub afterwards and Aaron, Azza, I just caught he was asking about the raffle. He said, "I didn't hear the raffle." And I just caught a glimpse of his raffle tickets and I saw he had pink 463. So I said to him, "Oh, that prize wasn't claimed, 463. And he actually had him. He believed, didn't he, Ferg? He believed that he won the raffle, but he wasn't claimed. But I said, "Azza, how would I know what your number was, mate?" And he just didn't know. He didn't know. So,
actually, but having seen it as of most of the afternoon, yesterday afternoon, I'm surprised he could even focus on his raffle ticket. He was a mess. But much fun was had by all. Grant, I hope you enjoyed it, mate. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget you can find us at any time on your favourite podcast channels. Just search Red and Blue Review. Okay, you can go to our website, which is redandbluereview.co.uk. All the links to the previous shows are on there. I want to kick off. Okay. Oh, look, there's our YouTube channel. It's on the screen now. The Red and Blue Review 8132. Get on there, like it, share it, subscribe to it, whatever you do on there. Okay, because it's going to be very important to us. Now, leave that on screen just for a second, Nigel. The Instagram one, please. Ladies and gentlemen, Tom Clark Samuel works tirelessly in the background. Please follow us on our Instagram account, red_and_blue_review. Throughout the summer, our Instagram account, we may be taking a rest, but Tom Clark Samuel won't be. He said he's actually going to be going right the way through the summer, setting quizzes. He's also asked me to ask you guys if there's anything in particular that you want him to be doing on our Instagram account. Just drop him a message on Facebook or on Instagram. Any ideas, any suggestions? He's got loads of quizzes ready for you anyway. But he works tirelessly on our behalf. So thank you, Tom, for everything else. On a serious note, before we carry on the train on the way home last night, we had some news. This won't mean anything to some of you guys, but there was a gentleman, a friend of ours, who's been coming to Palace for many, many years. He'd had some issues, let's say, personal issues over the last few years. His name is Graham Thackeray. He was in his mid-30s, and sadly, Graham lost his battle yesterday or over the last couple of days. So, Graham, you and I have been friends for a long time. Rest in peace, my friend. Rest in peace. And it's very, very sad news. I think it hit us all quite, because it was just out the blue. Anyway, we'll move on from that. So yesterday, 2-2 away draw at Fulham. It secures us either in 11th or 12th place, I believe it was. So we can't, unless there's a 15 goal swing, Wolves can't catch us. So it's just a question whether but we're going to come on to the positions later on. I'm going to do that a little bit later, simply because that's part of what we're going to be talking about after Fergus covered the game. Ferg, over to you, my man. You're on mute, buddy.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so just one change for the game. So Edouard came in for the injured Zaha. So we kept the same lineup as last week, with the exception of Zaha. Game kicked off. It's quite. Tony P. Quinn's put in the comments, Anderson smashes another nose and gets away with it. # the Punisher, and that's a great explanation, because that pretty much was the only highlight in the first 20 minutes. Again, I don't know how he's getting away with these. Mitrovic had to go off. He was bloodied. Had to change his shirt. He obviously came back to punish us for it later on in the game, but we'll get onto that. But first real highlight was 29th minute. I think Ayew runs down the left-hand side, delivers a dangerous low cross into 6-yard box, and there's a bit of a goalmouth scramble, and but Leno just manages to get his hands to the ball just before one of our players manages to stick it in the back of the net, which was a shame. And then the 34th minute, we go 1-0 up. Another fantastic on the break goal. And Wardy, I mean, I know he got man of the match, and we spoke about him last week about how his games come on leaps and bounds. Had another fantastic game yesterday. One ball on the edge of the box, passed it to Eze, and then Eze just took it all the way downfield, slotted in a beautiful pass to Edouard, and he smashed it left foot, first touch, into the top of the net. Brilliant goal. Game was probably even up to then, but I do think we were slightly the better side. I would do. My rose tinted glasses on. But yeah, it was just a fantastic move by Palace. Just very quick on the break. Ward to Eze, Eze to Edouard. Goal. Yes, Ian, come in. I know you want to say something.
I mean, I thought Edouard absolutely nailed it with that strike. That was Haaland-esque, wasn't it? You know, the way he got on the end of the pass. I mean, the pass was fantastic. You know, we talk about how goals are scored and how goals are made, but the weight of the pass was perfect. And don't forget, it was their corner that we got the breakaway from. They had a corner, and we defended the corner, and that's where we broke away. And I think that helped us, because their big centre halves were up the pitch, and the players tracking back, I don't know who they were. I haven't looked at it that closely. They're probably more midfield players and things like that. But they couldn't live with Edouard's pace either, and his pace meant that he got a bit of space there, and he hit it first time with his left foot. Absolutely stunning strike. So I think if that's Haaland, everyone's waxing lyrical about it. And the irony is that just before that, we're bemoaning Edouard, saying what a crap player he was and he wasn't doing enough and all the rest of it. And he missed a few bits and pieces, but he shut us all up then for sure. And when he wheeled away, when he scored the goal, he wheeled away, realised he was going the wrong way for the Palace fans, then turned around, which made me smile.
I know he's that.
Yeah, brilliant.
Theresa.
Completely agree about Edouard's goal. I really enjoyed the insightful analysis from Match of the Day for it as well. All about the 0 seconds.
Yeah, I think we might come on to Match of the Day later on, actually. They were absolutely garbage. Carry on, mate.
Yeah, so obviously the next highlight is Fulham's equaliser. So they held the board up for 3 minutes of injury time. So you're thinking, okay, I know we're liable to let goals in the last minute of every half. It's just an idea. But I think we were almost through the 3 minutes, and you think, okay, we're going to see this out till half time. And then, I mean, what can you say? It was a clumsy chance. I think he lost his spin, Tyreek Mitchell. And yeah, I mean, at first I didn't think it was a penalty, but you watch it back, it was a clumsy challenge, and it was probably the right call. Yeah, and I think that was the 45th minute. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ian. I think it was the 45th minute.
Well, no, this was in the 40. Well, it was the 3rd minute of stoppage time, or the 4th minute even. I think he played 3 minutes by then. By the time the foul came, which really, that's the thing we were moaning about. That he played too much time added on. It's one of those. If the referee doesn't give it, VAR doesn't intervene. But if he gives it, it depends.
Right, I'm gonna jump in here, okay? Because I know you're in mid-flight here, but I did say pre-show we were going to do this. When I first saw it, I thought that was never a pen, of course, and then I saw a couple of replays when I got outside to the bar and had a beer. You've just used the right word, Ferg, and the word was clumsy. However, what I wanted to discuss amongst us now is Tyreek Mitchell. He'd actually done that twice during open play, not in the box, previous to that in the first half. Okay, and he was lucky to get away with one without getting a yellow. I think. Okay, my very simple, Theresa, I'm going to come to you. I'm going to throw this straight at you, unarmed, unprepared. Clumsy or a liability, Tyreek Mitchell?
Clumsy. If he wasn't going for those balls, we'd be shouting at him. We'd be shouting, saying he's got no commitment, he shouldn't be in defence. When he goes for it, it's what defenders do. Sometimes they get lucky. Sometimes they get a soft pen like I thought it was yesterday. I don't think it's liability. The season before, we were all waxing lyrical about Tyreek Mitchell. What's changed?
I think it's been better under Roy. I think he was poor beginning of the season, but I think he's improved since Roy's been here, as a lot of the players have. All right. So maybe yesterday wasn't his best game, and when we come to the second goal of theirs, we'll talk about him again. But he didn't have his best day yesterday, but he's still a very good left back. I'm not looking to get rid of him or anything.
How old was he? He's still in his early 20s, isn't
22 or 23 or something.
He's still learning his craft.
So could it be that he's being picked because there's no competition, Ferg?
I think so, yeah. I think that's the problem. There is no competition for him. So maybe he's been a little bit, what's the word? Bit daisical, sort of, a bit complacent, because there is nobody behind him pushing him. I mean, Tara Adamola, he had a brief spell in the team, didn't he? And he's dropped back down to under 23s and not heard from him since.
He was on the bench yesterday.
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one where, you'd think we've got nothing to play for at the end of the season. They're the sort of players you'd want to maybe give them some time on the pitch. Maybe after yesterday, it very well might get that next week.
Be interested to see what does develop. Anyway, I digress. Ferg, continue, mate.
So moving into the second half, right at the very start, Fulham had that attack. Reeds combined on the right, and he crossed the ball. It went right across the goal. Mitrovic was at the back post, and it was easier to score, I think, the miss, and he just side-footed it wide. So we were very fortunate not to be 2-1 down in the first minute of the second half. And then the Fulham goal in the 61st minute, I think it was. Very contentious. There was lots of people around me, very, very angry. Referee's walked all the way across. He's gone to the effort of putting his magic spray down. I mean, you could see it on the pitch. Spotted the ball, and Fulham come across and then moved the ball. Actually, it doesn't do it justice. It looked like it was further away from the spot than that photo shows, but I guess camera never lies. And then, and they score from it. You know, it was a brilliant cross. And I have to be honest, I don't think it mattered where that ball was, whether it was on the spot or whether it was 2 yards further forward or 2 yards further back. The marking was atrocious. Mitrovic had a clean run. I mean, there was a bullet header. Johnson had no chance in goal. Again, Palace set pieces, corners and free kicks. We just can't seem to be able to defend them. We're just so poor. And it put Fulham 2-1 up. I don't know if you guys want to come in on that before I move on to the next part. But
the defending at that point, I just watched it back. I've got it on screen to my left now. Was absolutely atrocious. I mean, they were static. It was a series of Nelson's columns standing there. Nobody followed him, and they all just when it went in, and it was a great header at the end of the day, rocketed into the back of the net, and the goalkeeper didn't have a chance. And they all just stood there after that, blaming each other or pointing at each other. Ian, you wanted to say something, mate?
Yeah, you're not wrong about the static aspect of the defence. And what Mitrovic did, he started deep and he made his run and just no one went with him. They were zonal marking, but nobody went with him. And, you know, a player like Mitrovic or any player in the box, if they're moving, surely you've got a man mark a player as dangerous as Alexander Mitrovic. You can't just let them have the freedom in the penalty area because, you know, the quality of the ball from Willian meant that he couldn't believe it. It's like Christmases all come at once. You know, it was a well taken header, unstoppable from a goalkeeper's perspective. But we should never have given him that much room in the penalty area. And after the West Ham game, I can't believe that we're still letting in goals like that. Thankfully, it was only once yesterday, where that happened. But it's once too many, really, for my liking.
I think teams have sussed us out, haven't they? We're too susceptible to set pieces. Free kicks.
Somebody, Mark Callahan in the chat has just asked the question that I was about to ask you three. The zonal marking's not working. Would you go back to man for man marking? What's the answer, Ian?
Yeah, I think we should be marking man for man. I've always believed that. That is the best way of dealing with players. You know, you pick them up, especially the most dangerous players. You know who their best headers of the ball are. You know which players they're aiming for. If necessary, put two people on Mitrovic, to stop him getting near the ball. One in front, one behind him. But, and he didn't. I mean, he's not that quick, He's a bit of a cart horse in some ways up front, but he moved and no one went with him. It was easy.
T, is man for man the right move? Theresa?
Oh, sorry, I thought you said Tim.
No. I might be old. I'm not that old.
I don't know. Who would you map? I don't know. Our defence hasn't been brilliant this season. We have let in quite a few goals.
Especially from set pieces.
Yeah, especially from set pieces. I, for one, was holding my breath every time they got a corner. We never look comfortable defending corners. You could say Hughes is too small to be in the box in defence. He can't jump high enough. White men can't jump. I don't know.
I think Anderson was supposed to be marking him, wasn't he? That was his man. And
as Ian rightly said, he just didn't follow. He just didn't follow.
Nowhere near him.
He was nowhere near him. He really wasn't anywhere. He wasn't even near him at the start. Not let alone the finish. So he's just got the freedom in the penalty area. Anyway,
look at Joel Ward's face,
and look at where. More importantly, look where Joachim Andersen is.
Yeah, exactly.
He's absolutely nowhere near him. Sorry,
anyway.
Ferg, I interrupted again, mate.
No, it's okay. So I'll move on. So 66th minute, Sam Johnson pulls off that wonder save. Willian cuts in and he curls one. Looks like it's going in the top corner, and Johnson sort of like dives across, tips it over with his right hand, I think it was. So yeah, great save by Johnson. And then I think we the last 15 minutes of the game, I think we really came into it. I think we were the stronger side, and I don't know about anyone else, but I always felt like we were going to get that equaliser. We were at least going to get one. Never ever thought for 1 minute we were going to lose the game. And thankfully they proved us right. 83rd minute, I think Elise crossed from the left, and Fulham had a bit of a panic in the area and couldn't clear the ball, and it dropped to Ward. He had a shot, keeper kind of fluffed at it, came back out, and he's tapped it back into an open goal. Great finish, great persistence by Wardy. And he's obviously in the right place. I mean, I don't know, where our strikers are. Mateta was on at the time, wasn't he? But yeah, he scored a good goal. It went to VAR and they were checking for offside, and he was actually offside, but it came off a Fulham player. So we got an assist from a Fulham player, and that then meant that he wasn't offside. So the goal stood. Yes, Nick.
Right, a question for you then, the three of you. I'm going to throw you all under the bus here. How many times has Joel Ward scored for Palace in the Premier League? Theresa came straight in, unmuted.
I think it's only about twice, and the last time was about 4 years ago.
And last time was about 4 years ago. Fergus, any idea?
He's got a diving header at Chelsea, didn't he?
Yeah, I was going to say definitely Chelsea. I'm going to say 3.
Yeah, that's what I would guess. I don't know, but I think it's 3. In the chat, David Hart, Tim Richards both saying 3.
Oh yeah,
so,
3. Yeah.
Okay, in 14.
Left foot, right foot header. He's sort of perfect goal.
14,
6, Paul Bristow 5.
Okay, well, Paul, Bristow, he makes me great to see you.
He'll be right, won't he? He'll be right.
He's always right. Bristow's great to see you and spend so much time with you. Okay, right, here we go. In the 14-15 season, he scored 1 goal. Apparently, that was home to QPR. And we won the game 3-1. Remember that, Ian? I don't. 15-16 season, he scored twice. Arsenal, where we lost 2-1. That was in the August, and away at Chelsea, as you've already alluded to, and we won that 2-1. We also scored an FA Cup goal in the 3rd round away at Southampton. 18-19 season, home to Man United, where you lost 3-1 to Man United, and he scored the single goal. And yesterday, of course, he scored in the Premier League away at Fulham. So we do a little bit of research on this show, It's not just only thrown together, But you got, and bear in mind, I'm the senior statesman within the show. You can't do anything. You can't knock a bit of age and a bit of seniority. Joel Ward, I love you, mate. You are my hero of the season. Sam Johnson is the find of the season. Joel Ward is my hero of the season. Sorry, mate, I interrupted you again.
No, it's fine. It's fine. So there was only one highlight. We nearly won it right at the very end when on the right hand side, and Eze clipped a little ball over to Elise. And his first touch, sublime, brought it down, and then bent a left-footed shot just wide of the post. And I don't think, if we'd have actually topped up winning that game, I'd have, I think we just edged it. Certainly in the last sort of 15 minutes of that half, there was only one team looking to win it. I think we were definitely the better side in the last 15 minutes. Yeah. So as Elise curls one just past the post, and that was the last highlight really of the game. The referee, there's a few comments in the chat about the referee. About some people think he had a decent game, some people think he had a poor game. He was a championship referee, wasn't he? Yeah. Me personally, I don't think he had a great game. I think the linesman on the left hand side of us and the away end, I thought was poor beyond belief. I don't think he got anything right. I don't think he made any decisions of his own. He was waiting for the referee to decide. And it was a bit frustrating when the spot, for the free kicks right in front of him, and he doesn't pull the players back to say, look, the refs marked the spot, take it from where it.
Right. Hold that thought. I'm coming in there, Ferg. Okay. Theresa, sorry, I'm about to go on a rant. Okay, excuse me just for a second. Bear with me. Okay, so you made that point. We saw the picture just now. He put the spot down. The ball had been moved, whatever it was, 8 inches, 12 inches. It doesn't really matter because the defending was just shit afterwards. Okay. Then a little while later, towards the end of the game, in the second half, okay, we had a free kick out on the touchline as we were looking at the pitch on the far right-hand side. Okay, and I think this is what people get. So it's the lack of consistency with the refereeing. You saw the spot just now. You saw where it was, and you saw where the ball was kicked from. Then he came to our side, okay, and the referee actually walked over. He was just on the 18-yard line. He walked over to the touchline to roll the ball back, okay. Whoever was taking, I think it was Alicia, was taking the free kick. He picked the ball up and spun it around, put it down maybe 2 or 3 inches further than where the referee moved it. But the referee went over and moved it back again. So where's the consistency? That's what, and and I think you were right to highlight that guy. That was his first game in the Premier League. My understanding, it was Kevin Friend. I think this is what we said pre-show. He actually replaced Kevin Friend. We think he's a crap referee. Well, they just replaced one crap referee with another crap referee. It's the consistency that people get frustrated about. If I had any hair, I'd be pulling it out over it. Sorry, mate. You carry on.
No. I mean, well, that was it, really. I mean, it was,
stats.
Paul Bristow's. Oh yeah. So I don't know if Nigel's going to pull the stats up, but yeah. So we had slightly more possession than Fulham. Both had 11 shots. Fulham had 4 on target. We had 5. Corners 7 to our 4. Fouls 13 to their 12. Interesting. I mean, we say the referee had a poor game, but he booked 3 Fulham players and no Palace players. You could argue that Anderson possibly could have got at least a yellow in the first 6 minutes of that game when he took Mitrovic out with his elbow. I think he knew what he was doing as well. So he's away with one there, and that's the second week on the trot. So yeah, there we go.
Ian, you wanted to make a point, then Theresa, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, for me, he had a poor game. I thought he wasn't very good at all. He got a couple of things blatantly wrong, which cost us. Now, no one's mentioned this yet, and it certainly wasn't mentioned on Match of the Day or any other highlights I've seen, but I saw it on Twitter. A clip of 30 seconds before the ball was played to Mitrovic, who passed the ball for their lad to be fouled by Mitchell, which led to the penalty. The guy takes a throw in their right back position, and he lifts his back leg off the floor. It's so blatant, he looks like a ballet dancer. I kid you not. That's a foul throw. All right. Okay. How come the lino and the ref both missed that? I know it's only basic. All right. But it is basic and it should have been pulled up. If that throw in is then given to us, they don't score the penalty. The game, the half is finished. So that's that point. The second one is their number 4, Tosin, whatever he's called. Quite a good name, actually, I thought, for a Fulham player. Tosin. He got a yellow card for wasting time when he was taking a free kick in their right back position in the second half. Yeah. And, the referee was quite a long way away, but he gave him the yellow card. Later, about 10 minutes later, he fouls Edouard on the edge of the box. Quite a bad foul, I thought. We got a free kick for it, but it's a second yellow. It's a second yellow card. So in my book, he needs to say, right, okay, mate, the second booking, you're off. But of course, he's bottled it because, it's his first game. But I think those two things could have gone our way and it might have put a different complexion on the result.
So you wanted to make a point?
Oh, I was just looking through the chat. Lee Lockwood was saying that, where is it? He was saying that Roy Hodgson hasn't lost against Fulham since 1984. Yeah. And there was apparently Bobby Madley, according to Paul Bristow, Bobby Madley was the original choice of referee.
Oh, was he?
Oh, it's just what stuff.
Paul told me it was Kevin Friend, actually. But anyway, there you go. So final score away at Craven Cottage 2-2. Yeah, I think the stats bore out just there. They were very evenly matched, apart from the bookings. And I think, had you got into the game and said, would you take a point away at Fulham? Bear in mind, they've been above us all season. They've been playing well. You've been playing good stuff. Is that right? It's the first, only the second time that all 3 promoted teams stayed up. Was that a stat?
It's one of the few occasions. I think it's happened before, but it doesn't happen very often, does it?
No.
And another stat for this season is that we haven't beaten a team in the top half of the table this season. Plenty of draws. We beat Villa early on, but they weren't in the top half when we beat them. Yeah, that's a stat we need to put right, isn't it, for next year?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Trees.
There was a couple of other stats, wasn't there? There was, if Fulham had won, it would have been their first time doing a double over us in the Premier League.
Right.
I think. And we also prevented them scoring their highest points tally that they got
That's
under Roy.
right.
Yeah,
I mean, they might very well get that next week, but yeah, at least they didn't get it.
They're away to Man United, so maybe not. So
yeah.
Paul Gear said it's the 4th time, by the way. Theresa, you want to make a point?
I was just going to say, an away day at Fulham has probably got to be one of the most pleasurable away days we can get.
Yeah.
It's nice getting to the ground. Compare it to Spurs last week. I know which one I'd take in a heartbeat.
True.
And by the way, Grant Saunders has been in touch. He's been watching the show this evening. I've just offered him an opportunity to come on and speak to you guys. He tells me it's around about 750 quid made, but his voice has gone like Ian and like Ferg. His voice has gone. We're going to do another stat in a minute, but before we do that, I'm just going to get into how some of the other teams have done. You'll be aware that the under-18s and the women's season is over, and the under-21s have had no game since last weekend. Their next game is on Tuesday, the 23rd at 7:00 in the evening, and this is the important one: Premier League International Cup final. There it is. It's on your screen. Crystal Palace under-21s will play PSV Eindhoven's under-21s at Selhurst Park. I believe somebody jumped in and confirmed the tickets are a £5. Is that right, Theresa?
Yeah. £5 for adults and £1 for kids.
I know they're sold over well in excess of 3,000. So please get yourself down there. I'm actually considering it myself. I'm hoping to get down there. So
I've already got mine.
And yeah, it's only because you got. Yeah, I already got mine because I get a freebie. Me. Yeah. So Teresa's already got us. So join Teresa at Selhurst Park on Tuesday evening. It'll be well worth it. And good luck to the lads. And we'll cover that next Monday's show. Lone Watch, have some of our players got on. League 2 playoff semi-final second leg. Scott Banks started for Bradford City and got an assist in the 106th minute, but was then taken off 2 minutes later. John Kimani Gordon played in the same game. His pressure caused an own goal by Bradford in the 21st minute, and he continued to play until the 70th minute, where he was taken off. Carlisle won 3-1 on the day and 3-2 on aggregate to take them to the playoff final against Stockport next Sunday. Remy Matthews played the full match for St Johnstone and 1-0 win away at Carlisle, and Jack Butland only as far as the bench again for Man United. I did hear a little rumour that they're actually going to offer him a deal. Man United are going to offer him a deal. I don't know if anybody else had heard that. And that rounds up the other teams. Right, another stat for you. And we discussed this pre-show out in Facebook land. How many points has Roy Hodgson got as Crystal Palace manager? How many points has Roy Hodgson got as Crystal Palace manager? And we'll come back to that in a minute. Everybody can answer apart from Bristow. Okay, Bristow, you're barred because you've obviously got that tattooed on the.
Do you mean in total while he's been at Palace, Nick? Not this.
As if. Did you? Were you not? We were talking about this pre-show. Did you not hear?
No.
Oh,
I
you must have missed
listening.
that. Right. Okay. So the question, we're going to have a bit of a chat about a couple of subjects. The first subject is, who out of these two do you expect to see at Selhurst Park next season? Who's the more likely candidate to still be at Selhurst Park next season? And your two that we're going to discuss are Roy Hodgson and Wilfried Zaha. Ferg, your thoughts? Out the two, which, if either, are still going to be at Selhurst Park next season?
So who was it? Zaha and
Roy.
I think both.
You think they're both going to be there? Okay, interesting. Why?
I think they're grooming Paddy McCarthy for the role. So I think they're going to give Roy another year, and I don't know if he'll be up front as manager, but I think he's going to play some sort of part with Lewington and Paddy McCarthy. And Zaha, I don't know. I guess I'm just hoping against all hope that he's going to cease and sign the new contract. $200,000 a week. I mean, that's just crazy money. And yeah, I just think, you see Brighton. I hate to say it, but they're on the verge of qualifying for Europe.
No, they have qualified.
Yeah, if we keep somebody like Zaha and we keep hold of Eze and Elise, Decoy, Guy, Anderson, and add a couple more, that could be us next season. I honestly believe we've got a really good chance. Yeah, so I'm going to go with I think both.
Thank you. I'm going to come to the other two in a second. The chat has just gone absolutely berserk. Have you seen all those comments going through? Absolutely berserk. That is. I don't think I've ever had a response to a question like that ever since I've been doing this. In actual fact, thank you to each and every one of you. As you're choking in, Theresa, I'm going to come to you next. Roy, Wilf, or both, or neither?
I'm going to say both, but on BBC Gossip today, there's a rumour out that Cooper, Nottingham Forest manager, has interviewed already for the Palace job.
Yeah, two interviews.
Twice, yeah.
Twice, apparently.
Because he's pissed off. He's fed up with the owner. Sorry.
Yeah, that information you just shared there, Theresa, I'd actually seen that on In and I were talking about this pre-show. I'd actually seen that. Who swore it? I never swore, did I?
Theresa did.
I did.
I didn't. Right, okay. I'd actually seen. I hadn't seen the BBC report, but I had seen it reported 2 or 3 times on different sources on Twitter. Not that I take an awful lot of notice of what goes on Twitter. Very interesting. We'll come to Steve Cooper in a minute. Ian, I want your views on the Wilf and Roy thing first, please.
So your question was, which one of them is more likely to be here next season?
Which one of them, or neither, or both?
Okay. Well, my answer is Wilf. I don't think Roy will be here next season. I think he's done his job. I don't think he'll stay. I think he'll go, and I think we'll bring someone like Cooper in. So I think will happen. But
do you not think he's exceeding the expectations, and then so therefore he's worth giving another 1-year contract? Do you not think Parish, being Parish, will take the cheaper option? I know you're choking, so I'm going to carry on talking for a minute. Parish will take the cheaper option and give him a contract as opposed to somebody like Steve Cooper. Ian,
I can't see it. People have said yes, of course he's exceeded expectations. He's done a great job, but he's 75. He can't go forever. And I've said before that if we appointed him for another year, all we're doing is delaying the inevitable. We've got to find another manager that can take us through to the next phase, and that manager needs to have Premier League experience, in my opinion. And Steve Cooper ticks that box. So there you go.
It's only a year though, Ian. I mean, if forget Roy's age, if he was 60 and he's got the Premier League experience he's got, and you had a choice between him and Cooper, who would you go for?
That is actually interesting because Tom Clark Samuel has just put something in the chat. Okay, do you know what I'd never considered? Steve Cooper with Paddy as his number 2. Now that would work. I always think back to a comment Jill made live on air in his really anti days of Roy Hodgson. Okay, we were going through a real rough period. It was a year or so ago, and Jill said to me, "Do you know what worries me more than anything else because of his age?" He said to me, "He said I'm concerned that we will be the first ever Premier League manager to have a Premier League manager that actually dies on us on the job." And that's what he said. And I never took it seriously, but you got to respect the fact that he's approaching 76. Theresa, go.
Okay, he might die on the job, but the positive is we'll get an insurance policy off him, won't we? We'll get some money.
Do you know, I think that comment's probably equally as bad as Jill's original comment. Do you know that?
Yes. Well, what do you want me to say? I think he's doing a good job. Okay. and I agree with Fergus, if he was 10 years, 11 years younger, this wouldn't even be a discussion. What's age got to do with anything? He's got the experience. The players seem to respond really well with him or to him. And also, he's playing players that Patrick Vieira kept on the bench. You look at Eze. Sorry, Paul, it's a bit dark. My nurse's sense of humour. But you look at the players Patrick Vieira kept on the bench. He's 30 years younger than Hodgson. I mean, I didn't enjoy the football we were playing before Roy Hodgson left last time. But like Roy said in one of his press things, he didn't have the players to be able to play the football that he wanted to play.
Fair enough. We need to cover off because he keeps going through on the chat. What about Potter, Graham Potter? Okay, Ian, you told me something I wasn't aware of pre-show. Cover the Graham Potter thing, please.
Yeah, I've heard that Graham Potter is set for Nice in France. But if he wasn't, then, and I said on this show months ago, do you remember, I think you asked the question, Nick, if Vieira was to leave Palace and Potter was to leave Chelsea, would we want Potter? And I said, absolutely. But I also said to you, don't be stupid, that won't happen. And of course, I was wrong on that account, you know. So
actually, can I just correct you on that? You actually went like this.
Did I roll my eyes?
Yeah, you rolled your eyes at me, if you remember. That won't happen, is what you said. Okay?
Yeah, I was wrong. And if I'm wrong, I will admit I'm wrong and hold my hands up. That's not a problem. But I would take Graham Potter. I think it'd be a good fit for Palace. I think with the kind of size of club, I think he would do well at. A bit like Brighton, dare I say it. Chelsea was just too big a job for him. Too many egos, too many big personalities. Just didn't work out. So I think you can ignore that bit. And it will give Brighton another reason to hate us, which I sort of quite like. I think that's quite funny.
I think we could all fully endorse that, actually. We could fully endorse that. Ian, talking about Brighton, I think I've just done a fantastic segue, unrehearsed. Could you cover the Renf game, please?
Yeah, we can do.
Tell everybody what the Renf game is. What a
so the Renf game is the Robert Eaton Memorial Fund. Now, Robert Eaton was a Brighton supporter who sadly lost his life in the Twin Towers disaster in 2001. And I think from what I gather, he was a proper Brighton fan, not one of these plastics that support a second club as well. And what they did was they organised a match in his memory between Palace and Brighton fans. And it's been going every year, I think, ever since. And in total, the REMF has raised, I've got the figure here somewhere in a big reel of script, which I can't find. I think it's about 300k or something like that they've raised in total. I might have got that wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong, Nigel. And this year's game is actually going to be held at the Amex. Now, previous games have been held at Lewis's Stadium, which is just down the road from Brighton in Sussex. But this year it's going to be held at the Amex. It's Friday, the 2nd of June, a 7 p.m. kickoff between Palace and Brighton supporters for the REMF Robert Eaton Memorial Fund. It's £6 for an adult or £6 for an adult and an up to 16 together. So you can grab a child on your way in. Did I say that live on air? Or under 16, £2.50. So yeah, I've never been to it. I'm ashamed to say I've never been to it. But 2nd of June, Ferg, do you want to go down there on the 2nd of June on a Friday night in a couple of weeks' time?
It's not our curry night, is it?
No, it's the week before that. Yeah.
Is it Falmouth FC? Is it?
Is it Falmouth FC?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. So anyway, so 2nd of June, guys, if you can get down there and support it, it's obviously a great cause. But it's the last ever one. They've obviously decided that all things run their course. They do other things as well now. They do a five-a-side competition and golf days and all that kind of stuff. So good on them. And it's all in this lad's memory who sadly lost his life in the Twin Tower disaster of 2001.
It's the only time you will find me speaking nicely about Brighton and Brighton fans. They have done some fantastic work over the years, and they've had, I don't know who's playing this time, but people like Andy Johnson's played for Palace and scored. They've had lots of former players playing, but it's predominantly two sets of supporters getting together, and instead of kicking the crap out of each other, they're playing football for the right reasons, and they have, as Ian's mentioned, they've raised in excess of £300,000. Go, mate.
Yeah, and so that's on the 2nd of June. That's the Friday. But of course, the guest we had on last week was from Goals for Gosh. So if you watched last week's show, you would have seen the interview with Jamie. This is to raise money for Great Ormond Street, and this is on Monday, the 29th of May. It's at Selhurst Park. Tickets for this one are a little bit more expensive. They're £12 for adults, £5 for kids. But it's a great cause, to raise money for Great Ormond Street. So if you can get along to Selhurst Park on the 29th of May for this game, it's a 6:30 kickoff, that one. And then the other thing that we're supporting, sorry, Nick, the other thing we're supporting and backing is the CPFC Disabled Supporters Association AGM and Social Evening. This is Saturday the 10th of June. We know Julian Speroni will be there. We know Jim Cannon will be there, and one or two other ex-Palace players. You don't have to be disabled in any way to attend this event. Anyone can attend it. So if you like to go, they ask you to email. If you can just put that back, Nigel, sorry. There's an email address on there, I think. I hope there is. Am I right? Yeah, the bottom. There you go. It's cpfcdsa.org.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's cpfcdsa@gmail.com.
Oh, sorry. I don't know what that is. And that's their website. Okay. You can probably get to it through the website.
dsa@gmail.com. Drop them an email, because I'm telling you now, not only will there be guest speakers, there'll also be some special guests there. There'll be some unspecial guests there as well, because Nick and Ian are both going to be there on the night.
Yeah, we'll be there as well. Yeah, good. So it's great to support these guys. We've had Bruce and Lindsay on the show before, so I think it's an important part of our fan base that we want to support. Right.
So we're going to go back to my question I set 10 minutes ago. How many points has Roy Hodgson got as Crystal Palace manager? And the answer is, and this is relevant, there it is, right there. Roy Hodgson is currently on 197 Premier League points for Crystal Palace Football Club. Ladies and gentlemen out in the chat, my question to you would be, let's go for a win against Nottingham Forest. Will it be a great accolade to Roy Hodgson if he was to leave us and finally hang up his managerial hats or jacket on 200 points? I think it will be a fitting way for a super and genuinely nice chap to retire and spend some time with his family on 200 points. Quentin said 200 points there at 200. Sean Feeney said 185 more than Lampard is what Sean Feeney said. Fingers Feeney is out in Facebook land. Nice to see you, mate. We miss you. You're welcome back here anytime. Next season, come on and say hello to everybody. Tell them all what you're up to, because I know you're very busy. Go T.
Yeah, I was just going to say on Twitter regarding the Forest game. There's a tweet on Twitter from the Nottingham Forest about they're all going to bring inflatables to the game.
Inflatable what?
Everything.
Really?
Rhinos, bananas, donkeys.
Yeah, they called it Party at the Palace. That's what they've called it. So.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So there's a bit of a celebration for them. They're staying up. That's what you're saying. Yeah. And good luck to them. Ferg.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just going back to Roy. Mark Callahan's put in the comments about the interview the boy did with, I think it was Gary Neville on YouTube. He did one with Steve Parish and then Roy, and he's as sharp as ever, Roy. You've got to watch it if you haven't watched it. It's absolutely brilliant. And when he talks about all the experience and the players that he's managed, and just goes over his career, he's just got a wealth of experience, and he's spot on. When I watched it, I was kind of like, even I'd give him credit for what he's done. I just think sometimes we don't know what we've got until we lose it. He is a great manager, and if the club are going to support him next year, I don't think he'll do a bad job. I mean, he's got international experience, he's got European experience. And just on another YouTube issue, I don't know if anyone's seen, there's a 9-minute montage of Raksaki season at Charlton. I'd recommend everybody watch that. What a player we have got. I know we eulogise about him and say he should come into the first team, but you watch that 9-minute montage at Charlton. He looked fantastic. Scored some brilliant goals, brilliant assists.
Interesting.
I
I've not seen that. It's interesting. Listen, before we move on, I've got one more subject I want to cover and throw your way. I always forget to do predictions. Okay, I always forget to do predictions, and I normally leave it. If I do them, I leave it so late that everybody's predictions gone through on the chat, and I forget to read them out, or Ian forgets to read them out. Your predictions, please, for the Forest games. Thank you, Nigel. You're on fire, by the way. I'm coming on to that in a minute about Nigel bloody Croucher. I'll do that last. Your predictions, please, for the Forest game. Win, lose, or draw. It doesn't matter. It's the last game of the season. The result won't affect very much, just a couple of million quid, which I'm also coming on to next. Okay, what do you think is going to happen? Mr. Noble, I'm coming to you first.
Well, Paul Gears reminded us that in the Forest victory against Arsenal yesterday, Wayne Hennessy came off the bench for their injured keeper right at the end of the game. So we could be facing him next week. So on that basis, 5-0 Palace. No, in all seriousness, I think we'll win 2 or 3-0. And I think we'll win because I think generally, T's already said about the Forest fans being in party mood, and rightly so, because, their sole objective was to finish 17th or above this season, and they've managed to do that. So congratulations to them with all their many, many players. But I think Forest will be absolutely on the beach. They'll probably be partying all week. So I'm really expecting us to finish the season strongly with a victory at home next Sunday afternoon.
Okay. I'm glad you mentioned Wayne Hennessy. By the way, the other two, I'm coming to you now on your predictions. Okay. Not only are we likely to see Wayne Hennessy, and he is absolutely right, we may also see, don't forget, Cheika Kouyaté, neither of which we had an opportunity to say goodbye to. Crystal Palace fans worldwide, this is your opportunity to show some sort of respect. We normally, as a club, as a fan base, we're pretty good welcoming back former players to the club. Okay, Wayne Hennessy got a lot of unnecessary flack. Indeed, some of it off this show as well. Gel Holyoke, I'm talking to you. And by the way, Gel's also got man flu, which is why he's not on the show this evening. Which is why Ferg very kindly stepped into the breach tonight, because Gel's poorly again. His heart's fine. He's just got a snotty nose, that's all. So Cheika Kouyaté, if he is on the bench or anything, anywhere around the first team squad, and Wayne Hennessy, show them some love, please. Okay, Theresa Baker, your predictions, please, for the Forest game.
I think Palace will win 3-1. I agree with Nadeem. I think we'll win 3-1. Joel Ward to score another goal.
I thought you were going to say a hat trick then, Theresa.
Not that optimistic, Nick.
Well, if Hennessy's in goal, anything could happen. Okay, take a free kick from outside the box, watch him step to the left, and we just have to hit it to the right. We know how the Hennessy step, we called it. Ferg, your predictions, mate.
Well, I always go 2-1, don't I? But this week, I'm going to be different. Forest have got a very poor away record, so I'm going to go 3-0 Palace. Convincing win.
I think you're mad. Okay, you need to take that big yellow tablet again, because I actually think it's going to be 4-0.
Oh.
There you go. There you go. So you're not as mad as me. Okay, so 4-0 for me. Theresa, what they said in the chat?
James Convey 3-2, Nadeem 3-1, Aaron Jana 2-0 Palace. Lee Lockwood thinks it'll be a 2-2 draw. Keith Diamond 2-0. Paul Holden 5-0. Paul McNamara 2-1. Mark Callaghan 3-2 Goldfest. Tony Quinn 0-0 ball draw. David Campion 2-1 Palace. So the overall.
Claire Davis just said a lovely win for Graham. 3-1, a lovely win for Graham Thackeray. Absolutely right, sweetheart. And thank you for your message last night, Poppet. I really appreciated it. And indeed, yesterday on the boat and in the stadium yesterday, so many of you came up to us and said, "You're Nick from the Red and Blue Review. We love what you do. Carry on doing the hard work." It can get like the football season. You get peaks and troughs. Doing this. And Ian can relate to what I'm about to say. It can get sometimes a little bit tiresome. A lot of work goes into preparing for these things. And Ian's very kindly hosted for me over the last couple of weeks when I lost my dad. And it brings me very neatly onto a couple of things. Next week, obviously, I'll be saying all the thank yous. But the most important people of all that I must say thank you to for this season are not my team, and I've got a fantastic team around me, okay? But each and every one of you in Facebook land, on the Questions crew, on YouTube, on Instagram, without you guys, we have no interaction on the show. With no interaction on the show, we have no show. So from the bottom of my heart and the team's heart, thank you so much for everything you do. You know, this season we've been very lucky that, you know, people like Nigel and Lucy and Greg in the background, without producers, we can't do this, okay? It's really hard for me to produce and present at the same time. I've been blessed that Ian Noble has stepped up to the team and not just sort of hosted, he's more than capably hosted on many occasions this season, and I can't thank him enough. And we've also had some newbies join the show. This geezer down here, okay, Fergus Tid. He came on as to have a chat one night, and he's been with us ever since. He's an absolute inspiration. And don't forget, we also have the legend that is Jim Cannon, not just as a guest presenter anymore. He's a regular. I send him a list. He said, "Yeah, I'll do them all." He just loves doing what we do on a Sunday night. You know, he said, "What else would I be doing?" You know, he said, "I've got to talk to the missus if I don't come and join you guys." So he wants to do it. So for that group of people, I'll do the rest of them next week. Ian, Ferg, and every single listener and all my producers, I'm eternally grateful, and we will carry on next season. Lucy Usher, I know you're on holiday. We love you. Right, last point for the evening, okay? And then we'll wrap it up. So something happened today, ladies and gentlemen. This is nothing to do directly with Crystal Palace. Nigel, could you put the slide up, please? Today's game, Chelsea versus Man City. I wanted to show you this comparison and find out from you what you think, okay? Now, what you're looking at there are two Man City lineups, one against Arsenal last week, okay, and one against Chelsea today. And you'll notice that there is, I think, did we agree there was 9 changes?
Yeah, only Walker and Akanji are the common.
Are the two players. So they made 9 changes in the Premier League today. Now, the reason I'm highlighting this to you in Facebook land and YouTube land is because that could have gone very, very poorly for Palace. Now, the reason why am I whittering on about it is because Chelsea are obviously below us in the league. There you go. Okay. And only 1 point behind us. Okay. We want to finish in that 11th place. Okay. You could argue that 11th, 12th, does it really matter? Well, yeah, it does actually. We can't actually establish what the actual figure is, but we believe it's somewhere in the region of £2.5 million per position in the Premier League. That £2.5 million could be, it's nothing to Chelsea, but to us, it's absolutely huge. Okay. It is the difference between us getting a player in or not getting a player in the summer. You just don't know how important that is. Trees are just dropping off for a second. Oh, she's back again.
Sorry.
So guys, open to you guys. Should they be allowed to be able to field 9 changes like that? And I actually thought there was a precedent, a ruling saying they couldn't do that. Okay. The kids, Chelsea could have easily beaten the Man City kids today because Man City had already won. They're looking towards the Champions League final and the Cup final next week, and rightly so. I ain't got a problem with that. Good luck to them. I hope they win them both. Okay, but for the importance to us, should they be allowed to actually go ahead and make 9 changes? Ferg, I'm coming to you first, please.
Well, they've got a squad of 25, haven't they? So he can play any of those 25. So he could play 11 one week and a completely different 11 the next, and that'd be well within his remit to do that. So yeah, it's not ideal, but yeah, I don't think they're breaking any of the rules. They're just in a very fortunate position where they've probably got 25 world-class players. So it doesn't really matter who plays. They're always going to be a strong team or put a strong team out.
They're not breaking any rules, says Fergus Tid. They've only got another 205 rules they've already broken. They've got answer to the FA. Ian.
I suppose another way of asking your question, Nick, is should there be a new rule that says you can't make as many changes from one Premier League game to another Premier League game? Forget the cups for a minute, But if you've got a Premier League game and you field an 11, then for the next game, with no injuries, you can only make a maximum of 5 or 6 changes to that previous 11. That's not a rule at the moment, but could it and should it be? Is that another way of putting a question?
Look at what Paul's just said. Paul McManara, I always struggle with him. Sorry. Teams have been fined in the past for fielding weaker teams.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I watched both games today. I watched West Ham Leeds and I watched Man City Chelsea. And I actually thought West Ham were going to put a weaker 11 out today. I thought after Thursday night and all the shenanigans in the stands and everything, I thought they might not turn up for Leeds. And I fancied Leeds to win. Didn't happen. And West Ham put a full-strength team out and deservedly won 3-1. But Man City, if Arsenal had won at Forest yesterday, Man City would have played a completely different team today.
Correct.
And I'm sort of, I understand where you're coming from with the question. I just think that, arguably it's not fair. As it happens, they're 11 today with the changes they made through the game. I mean, they got over the line with 1-0. Chelsea came close a couple of times, but they were a bit unlucky. They had 2 or 3 goals disallowed for the old foul, handball, that kind of thing. Yeah, don't know. I would say another way of looking at it is, should there be a rule that says you can't make as many changes from one Premier League game to another? At the moment, that's not the case, but you could argue.
Theresa, you got any thoughts on the subject?
If it's in the rules that says you can name a 25-man squad, which it is in the rules, I don't think there should be, if they're lucky enough, yeah, it goes against us. But if that's what the rules are, they can make as many changes as they want.
Well, as luck would have it, it didn't go against us. Man City still won, and Chelsea is still that 1 point behind us. And they've still got to play away at Man United on Thursday night and at home to Newcastle on the final day of the season. So it would be lovely. I mean, for nothing else, I mean, we know they've had a crappy season. They've only, bless them, they've only spent £1 billion in the last 3 years. Okay, and I don't know how they're actually coping. Bless their hearts. So there you go. Thank you for that. I'm reading all your comments as they go through, and I'll continue to do so when we wrap up in a second. Thank you for everybody that's joined us. Ferg, I appreciate you jumping in at the last knock-ins, mate. Palace versus Forest, Sunday the 28th, 4:30. Come up and say hello to all of us. We do like you. Do like it when you come and tell us that you enjoy the show. Our last show will be next Monday evening, not Sunday, because obviously we're playing on the Sunday. Monday evening at 8:00. Ian will be delighted to know that I will be in the shed. And I think, do you know what? From memory, I was about to say who's coming on the show next week. And I think everybody, every presenter that's been available this year will be on the show next Monday evening. So it will be a car crash. There'll be a fun car crash, and we'll just go. That's the beauty about this new software that we've had this season. Ian.
Well, if I can get on live from Selhurst at the end of the Gosh game, I will. But I will be there on Monday and leave you to get on with the show. And I will look forward to watching it back afterwards.
All right, buddy. Listen, to each and every one of you out of Facebook and YouTube land, thank you very much. Fergus, Theresa and Ian, I can't do it without you. God bless you. God bless each and every one of you. Take care. See you at Selhurst on Sunday evening. Take care, everybody. Good night.
Bye.
Cheers, guys.
Good night.